have artificial intelligence, automation, digital transformation, green technologies, and emerging industries are redefining how we learn, work, and solve global challenges. In this rapidly evolving landscape, technical and vocational education and training institutions must remain at the forefront of producing competent, innovative, and adaptable graduates. This conference provides an important platform for scholars, researchers, industry leaders, policymakers, and trainees to share knowledge, exchange ideas, and develop practical solutions that address real societal and industrial needs. Over the next 3 days, we shall engage in meaningful discussions on critical issues, including TVET financing, research commercialization, artificial intelligence, sustainable development, food security, industrial automation, green technologies, and innovation ecosystems. These conversations are not merely academic exercises, they are pathways towards national transformation and economic. These conversations are not merely academic exercises. As a TVET, they are pathways towards the Meru National Polytechnic remains committed. These conversations are not merely academic exercises. In training, as a TVET, they are pathways towards the Meru National Polytechnic. We continue to strengthen these partnerships with the industry. As a TVET, they are pathways towards the Meru. That is evident today. We have departed from deliberately from the traditional invites where we have either the CS or the PS or government officials to the corporate sector who are our partners and friends in this journey as industry. Government agencies, universities, and international organizations to ensure that our graduates possess the skills required for the fourth industrial revolution and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, guests of honor, innovation flourishes where curiosity is encouraged. Research thrives where ideas are nurtured. Progress occurs where institutions dare to dream beyond present limitations. And at this juncture, I wish to welcome our guests to move around our institution and be able to see and appreciate some of the innovations we have, whether during, our shows, our scale shows, or as you observe around the institution. We might not be able to list all of them, but you are welcome to be able to go around the institution and see what the Meru National Polytechnic can offer as an institution. And we are limitless. I therefore challenge all participants to use this conference as an opportunity to build networks, establish collaborations, and generate innovative solutions capable of addressing the challenges facing our communities, our nation, and the world. Let us remember that every breakthrough begins with a question. Every innovation begins with an idea. And every transformation begins with individuals who believe that a better future is possible. On behalf of the Meru National Polytechnic, I express my sincere gratitude to our chief guests, the keynote speakers, presenters, sponsors, partners, organizing committees, and participants whose dedication has made this conference possible. May this conference inspire new discoveries, strengthen partnerships, and contribute meaningfully to the advancement of research, science, innovation, and skills development in Kenya and beyond. Thank you, and God bless you. God bless the Meru National Polytechnic, and God bless Kenya. At this juncture, guest of honor and ladies and gentlemen, I will welcome the chairman of the Council of the Meru National Polytechnic to address this gathering. Karibu sana chair. Let's welcome our chairman. Karibu. Clap for our chairman again.
Tumpigie makofi tafadhali.
When the principal is setting the mic because he thinks I'm taller than him, I'm not sure I am, but thank you for setting it up for me. A guest of honor, Ambassador Mary Mwanja, who is the Director of Public Sector and Institutional Banking at Equity Bank, distinguished guests, representatives from the government, fellow members of the Polytechnic Council, and at that point I'll ask Madam Nani to wake up. Jenu, she's I think the only other council member I have right now. So I'm glad you could come and say hello to the members who are here. So representatives of the government, fellow members of the Polytechnic Council, esteemed keynote speakers, researchers, innovators, trainers and staff and trainees, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the Governing Council of the Meru National Polytechnic, I'm greatly honored to welcome you all to the 4th National Polytechnic International Research, Science, Innovation Conference and Skills Expo 2026. This conference comes at a very important time when the world is looking for practical solutions through research, technology, innovation, and technical skills. As a polytechnic, we remain committed to producing competent graduates, supporting innovation, and promoting research that addresses societal and industrial challenges. The theme of this year's conference reflects our shared vision of transforming communities through knowledge, creativity, entrepreneurship, and technology-driven solutions. We believe that TVET institutions have a major role to play in economic growth, environmental sustainability, and national development. As we engage in presentations, exhibitions, and discussions during this conference, I encourage all participants to share knowledge, build partnerships, and explore solutions that will positively impact our communities. I wish to thank you all for dedication and participation in making this event successful. Your ideas and innovations are shaping the future of our nation and beyond. May you have fruitful deliberations and a successful research, science, innovation conference, and skills expo. Thank you, and God bless you all.
I want now to welcome the county director, Tibet, to say a word before we can invite the guest of honor to address us. Let's welcome the county director, Tibet. Thanks.
Thank you, Chief Principal. Guest of honor, Ambassador Mary, the Chair of the Council, Chief Principal, Council members present, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. I would like to thank and congratulate the Mary National Polytechnic Fraternity for organizing this event. Research is basis for innovation and technological and academic progress. Any institution that does not put value in research is not likely to grow. Therefore, I would like to thank you for leading the way in this direction. To the researchers, I would like to say the nation and the community depends on you. And I think Ambassador is the right person because equity, maybe without much research, has made a lot of progress in this nation in terms of innovations in the banking sector. I would like you to pass my regards to the MD, James Mwangi, and tell him that although I come from very remote area of Kenya, we appreciate equity. So generally, to the researchers, I would like to say this. The greatest innovations are not made with a lot of resources. If you look at the men and women who are referred into discoveries globally, they did not do that with a lot of resources. So let that not be an inhibiting factor to make sure that you make research and innovation part of your life. This nation is full of innovators, and it is very important we identify those who are from the locality or from the nation and make sure that we give them strength and support and direction. Dr. Chief Principal, in our next, the fourth research and innovation, I'll request you make the TVET institutions that are growing to be more visible in this such event. To the innovators, I would like to encourage you to do mentorship. Many of us think that the youth can only destroy, but if they are given clear direction, they can do wonders in the field of innovation too. To the trainees who are present, quite a number of trainees have that ability to innovate. I remember when I was the director, Nakuru, a young man walked into my office and he shared with me hand-drawn, ideas. And he told me, he wants to come up with a certain model of an engine. Then after some time, he came back to me and told me, I want to come up with an innovation, but before, as I do that, I want an institution to bank on. I referred him to the Nyandarua National Polytechnic because I knew from where I was, there was a very young trainer who is full of ideas and is an innovator. So if you have an idea, don't be afraid of sharing. Don't be afraid of advancing. One Chief Principal, one thing that as an institution we must put in place is the Department of Research must be fully empowered. I'm happy you have done already that, but make sure that all the innovations that are done are reserved and improved on. There is that young man, that gentleman in Nyandarua, Mr. Engineer Mwangi, who came up with, an innovation that won position 1 that year in trade fair and exhibition. And he was making chain link using a manually operated machine. But he told me, however long it will take me, I will make sure that it's automated. So generally, as you come up with an innovation, don't limit yourself to where you are. Make sure you improve. Therefore, the way both the Chief Principal and the Chair have presented in their speech, it is an event that is supposed to make us have greater focus, and that can only be gotten when we share ideas, we collaborate, and ensure continuity of research and innovation. thanks to technology, today ideas can be gotten easily from the internet. Madam Ambassador, I want to tell you, when I was a principal, I found a lady who was training in rugby. She was training boys. She's from this area. I cannot remember her name. And then I asked her, you are a lady. How did you come up with the idea of training rugby for boys? And girls rarely play rugby. She told me, I go to YouTube, get the skills, take note of those skills, and take it to the field with my trainees. Remember, she's a lady. She is not training girls. The game she's training is what? It's not basketball or volleyball. It is rugby. Therefore, what I want to say is, let's make maximum use of this event, harvest the best we can, share as much as we can, and don't conceal your innovation. Share it and make sure that it benefits not only yourself, but those you are interacting with. With that, I'll say, God bless Kenya, God bless Meru National Polytechnic, God bless our researchers and innovators. Thank you.
Let's appreciate our director once more, please. I said let's appreciate our director. Thank you so much, Bwana Hassan, for the challenge. I also want to recognize the presence of Kibit. Kibit. At the back. Thank you. Let's welcome Kibit. Kibit is the Kenya Institute of Building and Highways Technology, who are our partners in EastTrip. EastTrip is the East African Skills for Transformation and Regional Integration Project, which is a World Bank funded project, which we are implementing together with Kibit. We also have Kenya Forestry Research Institute. Kenya Forestry Research Institute. Okay. This is the Penina Ngogi, the Assistant Director representing the CEO. Let's welcome Kenya Forestry Research Institute. Thank you. I also realize we have the administration represented here by my good friend, Wanja. She is the deputy in charge of Kambakia Police Station. So we are well guarded. Thank you so much. So I would wish now to welcome our chief guests. Kindly allow me to say something small about the chief guests, if you may. Our chief guest is Ambassador Mary Mugwanja, the public sector and the institutions banking head at the Equity Bank Kenya. Of course, representing the CEO Equity Group, Dr. Mwangi, and ably so. So Ambassador Mary is an accomplished leader with over 30 years experience across banking, diplomacy, and public service. She has a proven track record in executive management, stakeholder engagement, strategy execution, and institutional transformation. She demonstrates excellence in financial stewardship, governance, international relations, and infrastructure development. She's a strong advocate for ethical leadership. I can repeat that. A strong advocate of ethical leadership. Did you hear that? Because, Ambassador, what we are lacking today in our country and everywhere in Kenya is ethical leadership. Is ethical leadership. Innovation and sustainable socioeconomic growth. Of course, before she joined the Equity Bank, Ambassador Mugwanja served as the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Kenya to Austria, whatever that means. Probably you'll be able to expound. And as the permanent representative to the United Nations and other international organizations in Vienna. She brings a wealth of experience spanning banking, leadership, governance, and institutional engagements. Her career is distinguished by strong capabilities in relationship management, operational efficiency, and strategic execution, developed through working with high-performing teams. Everybody say high-performing teams. You know, it's very difficult to build a high-performing team. You need enough resources to do that, not financial. Not financial. Senior executives, diplomats, and top-tier government officials across diverse global and public sector environments. Of course, her profile is large. I can read and read and read. She's a graduate of Strathmore University, the prestigious Strathmore University, and she has other honors on her head. But of interest, and I told her, is that she knows something about TVET. She has some history with TVET, because once upon a time, she did a small course. I dare call it small because of what I have read in Kiambu National Polytechnic. So she clearly identifies with what we are doing here as a TVET champion. So I request kindly that we all stand up and we start clapping. Kindly, all of us stand up if you are listening to me. We start clapping and clap and clap and clap until Ambassador comes to the podium. Kindly, keep clapping.
Thank you very much. You may get seated. Thank you. I have no words. When he reads and puts a lot of emphasis, I sat there asking myself, is that me? Our chair of the Council of Meru National Polytechnic and the chief principal and my friend, the director, and other invited guests. Allow me to ride on the existing protocols. But like the chief principal has said, when the drama team that was here, the drama club was here, I was very elated. And I wished I could get back to that dancing. How many of us wish they could do that? The ones who are in the upper floor. But Chief Principal, this reminds me 40 years ago, I was at, then it used to be called Kiambu Institute of Science and Technology. 40 years ago, it was 1986. It was quite humbling. And really, allow me to talk to my sons and daughters before I get to read the speech on behalf of Dr. James Mwangi. My sons and daughters who are here, the innovators and researchers, this is a very good opportunity that you've been granted. Most of the times, and I'd mention when I was at your age, those 40 years ago, I did not understand myself. I did not know that I had been given a lot of opportunity. I might not have made very good use of, but somewhere along the line, I managed to recover the time lost. But I would not want you to go through what I went through. So this is your season in life. Allow me to remind us and you that the choices that you make at this particular season are crucial. My prayer for you this morning is you should find counsel in a higher being, depending on whether you're Muslim, you're Christian, whoever it is that you refer to as a higher being. Ground yourself in very strong moral foundation. When I say I'm an advocate of ethical leadership, it's because my parents instilled the moral fabric that I live by today. Unfortunately, both of them are passed, but may they rest in peace. But they gave me that very strong foundation. This foundation must be anchored in strong belief, passion, strong resolve, determination, and conviction that where you are today, Bwana asifiwe, that where you are today does not determine your future. Why do I say so? 40 years ago, I was in a TVET doing secretarial. I started my job as a copy typist. So if I had taken it, that my future was to remain a copy typist, I would not be where I am. That's why I feel it's important that we know where we are today is the bare minimum. We have a lot to do. We have a lot to make very good choices. Therefore, your future is determined by the choices that you make today or the choices that you are going to make now after listening to me. And I would want my daughters, my sons, when you're here, you look very good. You're living in a community. But who are you as a person? Where are you going to be tomorrow and the day after? Are you going to stand here and your profile will be read and you ask yourself, is that me? It is possible. Therefore, kindly make informed choices and focus on greatness and excellence. Chief Principal, I truly value young leaders because they are the young ones, because they are the leaders of tomorrow. Allow me to wish them all the very best as they study, as they innovate, as they do all the research. May they be able to be grounded in the right moral fabric. With that, allow me now to move to the main speech. As you've been told, my name is Abasinda Mary Mogwanja. I look after public sector and institutions. Equity Bank Kenya. Equity Bank started as a microfinance, as an equity building society. It is now the largest bank in East and Central Africa, led by our only one, Dr. James Mwangi, from a very humble village called Nyagatogo in Murang'a. It is possible to talk of greatness and to really get the best. He sent his warm regards to the entire fraternity. He would have wanted to be here, but unfortunately, he couldn't make it, so he sent me. Do you receive his greetings? Do you receive his goodwill message? Thank you. It's a great honor and privilege to join you today at the 4th International Conference of Meru National Polytechnic, held under a timely and significant theme, advancing sustainable development in Tibet through science, technology, and innovation. Allow me to first commend the institution, chief, and the chair, and the entire fraternity for organizing this very important forum that brings together scholars, innovators, policymakers, and practitioners to exchange ideas and chart a path toward a more sustainable and prosperous future. It is conferences such as this that are not merely academic gatherings. They're platforms for generating practical solutions to real societal challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living in an era marked by rapid technological transformation, shifting labor market demands, climate change, and increasingly socio-economic inequalities. In this environment, the role of Tibet has never been more important. The Tibet institutions are uniquely positioned to equip learners with practical, industry-relevant skills competencies, but also with creativity, entrepreneurship, crucial or critical thinking, and digital skills. An innovative graduate becomes not only a job seeker, but a job creator. Allow me to repeat that. An innovative graduate becomes not only a job seeker, but a job creator. As we reflect during the conference, let's challenge ourselves to ask the following. How can Tibet better support sustainable industrialization? I'll repeat the question again because Chair and Chief Principal, by the end of the 3 days, and the coordinator for research, we should be able to answer these 4 questions. How can Tibet better support sustainable industrialization? How can research and innovation be commercialized to benefit communities? How can research and innovations be commercialized to benefit communities? Third, how can institutions embrace green technology and environmentally responsible practices? How can institutions embrace green technology and environmentally responsible practices? And the 4th one, how do we ensure inclusivity so that no learner is left behind in this era of digital transformation? How do we ensure inclusivity so that no learner is left behind in this era of digital transformation? The answers to these questions will shape the future of education, employment, and national development. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I urge all participants to use this conference as an opportunity to exchange ideas boldly, collaborate meaningfully, and develop practical recommendations that can strengthen Tibet's and accelerate sustainable development. Let us therefore embrace science, technology, and innovation, not merely as a concept, but as instruments of transformation, tools that can empower communities, create opportunities, strengthen resilience, and secure a sustainable future for generations to come. Together, through stronger partnership between education, industry, government, and the private sector, I repeat, like equity, we can build a future where Tibet institutions become engines of innovation and catalysts for sustainable development. On behalf of Dr. James Mwangi and the entire Equity family, I reaffirm our commitment to supporting education, innovation, entrepreneurship, and inclusive transformation. Together, let us shape the future, our future, that is sustainable, innovative, and full of opportunities for generations to come. Thank you all for listening to me. I want to repeat, as the director said, he did not say, God bless Equity. God bless us. God bless Kenya. God bless Africa. Thank you all.
So thank you so much. Let us appreciate our chief guest properly. Tupigie makofi mazuri. Asante sana, our chief guest. Karibu sana bwana.
Okay, thank you very much, our chief guest, Ambassador Mary Mugwanja, for gracing our this auspicious occasion. Just an announcement so that we know what we are going to do. In just around 10 minutes or so, We would like our chief guest to visit the stands. Then we come back. She come back for our first presentations. So kindly we remain here in the hall as she visits our stands, so that we prepare the presenters to present what they have. We have Professor Muchiri with us. Kindly, you can stand. He is the moderator of this session. Can you give him a round of applause? We have our first presenter with us, Professor Dixon Kagema Nkonge. You can stand. Then we have our next presenter, Professor Karen Kiambati, the DVC, acting DVC, Karatina University Administration and Finance. Karibu sana our presenters. We are not going out to continue our program. We go directly to our presentation. So kindly, Madam David, I hope you have Professor Konge's presentation and Professor Keren. If you don't have, you can put together. As I call upon our moderator, Professor Muchiri, to come forward to take on the session. Thank you, our chief guest, for accepting that. Yeah, Professor Konge and Professor Keren. Madam Sir, I think you can assist Professor Keren with the presentation so that kindly let us not go out. We are still going on with our program.
Thank you, Carola, for inviting me to come and lead ourselves to the next stage of this research conference. My name is Professor Eric Muchiri from Meru University of Science and Technology. And in view of the fact that we don't have a lot of time, we will directly go to our presentations. And as you've heard, we've got our two presenters ready. And just before we get to the presentation, Professor Nkonge, is your presentation with us? Okay. So the chief guest, Ambassador Mary Mogwanja, the chief principal, Meru National Polytechnic, the chairman of Meru National Polytechnic Council, Dr. Anthony Jage, Mr. Hassan, the director of TVET Education in the county, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me for us to get to the second phase of this research conference. in the face is where we start the presentations, and we've lined up two presenters who are going to share with us various research concerning sustainable development and leadership, and that can assist TVET institutions to becoming a more effective and useful institution in our country. To move right away, Professor Nkonge is already on the podium, ready to start the presentation. Professor Nkonge is a professor from Chuka University who has a wealth experience of research. He is going to share with us his research on sustainable research in Tibet education. And then after that, we're going to have another presenter who is going to further give us ways through which we can be able to use our Tibet education to further our development. So without ado, let me welcome Professor Nkonge so that you can share with us your presentation. Thank you. Nkonge, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I want to take this opportunity to greet all of you. Good morning. Good morning again. Thank you for this opportunity. Our chief guests, the chief principal, the chairman of the council, our director, and all the visitors who are here today. Fraternity of this college. My name is Dixon Kong, as you have seen.
I'm coming.
And I want to take a very short time to present my paper on sustainable institutions, for leadership. Developing leaders grow adaptive leadership for sustainable development in Kenya. The first thing I thought of is I saw the meaning of defining these terms so that we can be able to follow the term leadership. Leadership is known by all of us. We have been taught a lot of things.
Reporting live for MNP TV. I'm reporting live. Niende? Stacy, reporting live. Stacy.
Coming to you now. 3, 2, 1, action.
A very good afternoon to you, my viewers. I'm coming to you live from the conference venue here at the Meru National Polytechnic, where the 4th research conference is currently taking place. We've received guests, distinguished guests from various institutions like the Kabete National Polytechnic, and also we have our chief principal, Dr. Kigige Motembei, who's the host of this event, and our guest who is Ambassador Mary Mugwanja. And we believe that this event that is going to take place for 3 days, starting today, the 3rd of June to the 5th of June, that will be Friday 2026, 2026 will be of great impact to the researchers and academics that have attended the event. We have seen a very huge number of participants, and for those who have been able to come and showcase their innovations and maybe share skills, and some of the researchers right now behind me, as you can see, they are showcasing their innovations and giving us a preview about what this theme is about. And we are hoping that it will be a successful event by the time we come to the end of it, that is on 5th. We'll be giving you live updates and highlights as the events unfold. Reporting live for MNP TV, I'm your reporter. Back to you at the reporter's desk.
Contextual relevance, networking, and long-term capacity building. Sustainable development this time has been used here today many times, even by our chief guest. Is that kind of development that meet needs of present without compromising the ability of the future, so as to meet their own needs. And in this regard then, sustainable development involves environment, society, and economy, which are really intertwined and cannot be separated. In our argument, so as to address the theme of today, it is very clear that Africa needs reliable leadership. This is because in Africa, leaders are available in abundance, but reliable leaders are hard to find. Leadership remains the biggest challenge that faces African continent today. It is not that we do not have leaders in Africa. We have many leaders, but we lack reliable leaders. And this has put our continent in a very precarious situation, where many African nations suffer from evils of poverty, illiteracy, economic meltdown, corruption, unemployment, tribalism, nepotism, diseases, and so on, as our leaders amass wealth for themselves. No African nation can today claim to be safe, and Desmond Tutu has put it very well as he laments on this kind of situation. He says that the picture is so bleak, and the prospect of one seemingly unmitigated crew. It is as if the entire continent was groaning under the curse of harm of the Bible, and was indeed in no aspects the dark continent of antiquity. Africans may well ask, are we God's stepchildren? Why has the disaster picked on us so conspicuously? We appear transcally unique in this respect.
It will be Friday 2026.
So what then is the problem? Does it mean that Africa is cursed? Is it very difficult for Africa to produce sons and daughters who can become its reliable leaders? This was the concern of this particular study. And the training institutions of a nation largely determines the kind of leaders that that nation will have. And I think that has been emphasized here. This is because leaders who become heads of various sectors of nations are prepared in this institution.
Begin. 3, 2, 1, action.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, ni matumaini yangu ya kwamba ubuheri wa afya mahali popote ulipo. Nafahamika kama Esther Ng'ang'a na nakuja moja kwa moja, unanipata moja kwa moja kutoka katika chuo cha ufundi cha Meru, ambapo kongamano la 4 la sayansi linafanyika hapa chuoni, ambapo limewakusanya wanafunzi kutoka vyuo mbalimbali wambunifu, ambapo pia tumeweza kupata mgeni rasmi Madam Mary Magwaja, ambaye ndiye guest mkuu hapa chuoni cha Meru National Polytechnic, ambapo ameweza kusema ya kwamba hii teknolojia iweza kuwaleta wanafunzi mbalimbali kuonyesha ubunifu wao. Pia tumeweza kusikia kutoka kwa bwana Daktari Kigige Mutembei ambaye ndiye mwalimu mkuu humu chuoni hiki cha Meru National Polytechnic, ambapo ameweza kusisitiza kwamba hii kongamano ambalo limeweza kufanyika hapa, ambalo limeweza kuwaleta wanafunzi kutoka chuo mbalimbali. Kama unavyoona nyuma yangu, mtazamaji, bado wanafunzi kutoka vyuo mbalimbali ambapo wamekusanyika hapa wanaendelea kujitayarisha ili kuonyeshana ubunifu wao. Kwako mezani ya wanahabari.
What extent can the future hold? And up to this morning, I was trying to get the responses from various colleges and universities which are selected for this study. And the findings are very clear that more than 90% of the respondents affirm that institutions in Kenya are not sustainable. And the key areas that they suggest that needs to be addressed are financial challenges which we face in many institutions, lack of lecturers or educators for various fields, insufficient training facilities, the curriculum fails to capture all aspects of life, although they feel that there is satisfaction in terms of enrollment and support staff. The main challenges that affect us are the suffering of students from poor backgrounds, which require our support, funding challenges, which I have seen is part of the program from government and other bodies, weak leadership structures, and inadequate educators or lecturers. If, for example, you look at the courses that are taught in various universities and colleges, and I'm happy that this was emphasized as the chief guest was being introduced. You find that the common courses which we emphasize mainly from the findings are computer studies, basic law, HIV/AIDS, communication skills. For example, in technical institutions or TVET colleges in Kenya, more emphasis is put on practical hands-on and competence-based courses, while universities train students mainly on their professions. And there is very little emphasis on ethics and integrity. For example, while our constitution takes a whole chapter 6 on leadership and integrity, there is there is no college or university which has this course, leadership integrity, as a common course for our students. Out of the 5 universities which I selected, only one teaches ethics and integrity as a common course. It is a thing that we need to think of under the guidance of some of the principles that have been cited by that scholar there called Jagen. Jagen, I know him because I've interacted with him and I like his work. That we need to be sustainable institutions. We need to have institutions, universities, and TVET colleges that have a clear mission and a vision, that have reliable and ethical leadership, capacity building and leadership development, that are able to have networks and partnership, that are able to adapt to changes that are taking place or changing context, that have strong value systems, so that sustainable institutions are built on moral and ethical values, which we have already said that are affecting our country. Long-term sustainability rather than short-term success. If we focus on this, then we are likely to develop or have sustainable institutions. And the effect of this is that we shall have reliable leadership. And when we have reliable leaders, then we shall have a country that is sustainably or attaining sustainable development. I also thought of the importance of adaptive leadership, which I feel is a new term which has come to Africa, and it is very important to think of it as we think of sustainable development in Kenya. With the time, I have come to appreciate this term, adaptive leadership, as the most possible solution to the challenges which we face in Kenya and the entire Africa. The ability to respond to the immediate challenges that are facing our society or even organizations is the strength of every leader. It is that brilliant that we train adaptive leaders
who are able to respond to new challenges that every society faces. So that as we train engineers, and as we train lawyers, and as we train other professionals of our country, we need to ask ourselves, are we also preparing them to become leaders who are able to meet new challenges? Because it is very interesting that all these are the people who are going to serve us as our leaders in various sectors of our nation. So we need to think about that, and the principles of adaptive leadership can guide us very well as we prepare these leaders, so that the colleges and universities think of what is called the first principle, emotional intelligence, so that we have, which requires high empathy and self-awareness to support team members through anxiety of change. Organization justice, that ensures that everyone is being heard, or every voice is being heard, valued, and included in our conversation. Development, that focuses on continuous growth of individuals by encouraging them to step outside of their comfort zones. And the character, which has been emphasized here, so that we train people where we emphasize on transparency, open-mindedness, and the courage to take personal responsibility. How are we able to achieve this as a nation? It is through having colleges and universities that focus on relevant training or contextual curriculum. We also need to think of adequate and qualified teaching staff of our colleges and universities. It is important that this issue, found it in the program of funding or support our training institutions, is also emphasized, and encouraging and supporting research. If we do this, then we are produce leaders in our institutions who are able to help this country in the future. And in conclusion, I have said that sustainable development cannot be attained in the absence of reliable leadership. For the development of Africa, the African people and the policy makers must start to think on how we can have reliable leaders. But reliable leaders are prepared in the training institutions, which we have said that act as seedbeds. Thus, supporting our institutions is crucial for the development of Kenya and the other African nations. The development of reliable and adaptive leaders is the responsibility of all of us. And in conclusion, I say that investing in our training institutions is investing in our future as our country. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Njagi, for the good presentation that you've shared with us. Again, let us appreciate Professor Nkonge for the good presentation that he has shared with us. Some of the things that he said are key, and they have been the theme of this conference today: ethical leadership, integrity, sustainable development, adaptive leadership for our customers. So we should embrace these values so that we can have well-rounded customers like our students coming out of our institutions. To move on to the next presenter, allow me to introduce to you our second presenter, Professor Kellen Kiambati. Professor Kellen Kiambati is acting
It's an amazing Wednesday, and we are here at the Meru National Polytechnic, where we host in the conference where research conference is taking place, and currently, as you can see, there are presentation going on. We have been here, and the research is amazing. We are taking care, we are making sure that everything is okay. Stay tuned as we update everything for our viewers. Thank you for being there. The research is here to educate the TVET students. TVET is more on practical, and when the research is going on and innovation skills undertake through, you get to improve your critical thinking, creativity, and everything. Ensure for the students are supposed to ensure everything is okay, and it's made sure that the research collaborates and investigates and ensures that everything is okay. To you, back to the reporter's desk.
So Professor Kiambati is going to give us an extra theme of what Professor Nkonge has already initiated, and she is going to talk about sustainable development and how do we navigate the various challenges that we've got on the finances in order for us to have sustainable development in TVET institution. So welcome, join me to welcome Professor Kellen Kiambati to the podium. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Prof. Our chief guest, Mary Mugwana, it was so nice to meet you this morning. The chief principal, the chair of the council, Meru National Polytechnic, and all the other council members present here this morning, colleagues from the universities present here, principals representing other TVET sectors and other TVET sectors, colleagues that are here, our researchers, students, and other invited guests. Good morning. And you have to greet me well. Good morning. I am a teacher par excellence, so you will participate during my session. So thank you so much, Principal, for inviting me to this occasion. When I received the invitation, I was so excited, and I was excited because of three things. For the last 7 or so years, I have spent my time doing research, innovation, and resource mobilization for research. So when I saw the theme, I wrote an SMS to my colleague, Dr. Dennis Maina, who is also a speaker here, and I told him we must attend. And I told him the first thing we do is to write an email to our Vice Chancellor and ask him not to assign us duties the last week of May. Then unfortunately, you wrote another email saying you have rescheduled. I quickly called him. I told him, let us ask him to assign us duties so that the first week we have time to come here. And so we did that, and I told him that I really want to be here because when I looked at the thing that speaks very, very closely to my heart, I knew I must be here. And I'm so grateful that you found it fit to invite me. I'm also excited because I'm here to also engage with my colleagues in the TVET sector, where I serve as the chair of the board, regulating the sector. So when I saw the program and I saw the people represented there, I was really, really excited. But what is important is to be here, as I said. Inform you that the chair of Equity Group is a chancellor, Karatina University, where I serve, and we work very, very closely with Equity. So as you are making your submission, and especially your submission on creating jobs as opposed to being job seekers, it is becoming one of our mantras at Karatina University, because the question we've been asking ourselves, when we send out graduates to look for jobs, which jobs? Therefore, we must train them to create jobs, and I'll connect that to my submission today. So listening to you was quite exciting, and I'm sure we'll have time to engage after this. So this morning, I was asked to speak about challenges in resource mobilization and in support of research and innovation.
every other speaker who has spoken here, I've talked about the importance of research and innovation. But as we all know, research is resource intensive, both financial and non-financial resources. So the question is, how do we mobilize resources to be able to support research and innovation? And are those resources there? I will share with you my experiences in terms of research and innovation financing that I have experienced the last 7 years, practical solutions that I've seen work. They are not exhaustive. However, what I'll be presenting to you this morning is what I have found working. So are you ready? Please pick a pen and a paper. I told you I'm a teacher by excellence. We will evaluate ourselves after this session so that we see whether we have captured the person in charge of social media. Please create hashtag. Today we are learning. And we must have practical solutions that we take away with. It's not just a keynote address, it's practical solutions. So the keynote person, the social media person, help us capture these hashtags so that we pick lessons. Even people who are not here, they can use, because we are all working towards a common objective. So me to be able to share with you solutions, then we will be capturing the challenge we have seen as common challenges and possible solutions that we can use to be able to support research and innovation, considering that this is one activity that is resource intensive, or rather requires a lot of resources to be supported. Challenge number one that I have seen, and of course cuts across all institutions in higher education, whether TVETs, whether universities, one of the major challenges we have experienced is over-dependence on exchequer. We are over-depending on government to fund research and innovation. Now, as we all know, according to national standards, there's a percentage of GDP of every country that is supposed to support research and innovation. African countries, we are very far from that. However, that doesn't mean we will not carry out research and innovation. And if the allocation of the GDP that is supposed to go to research and innovation is low, what that means is that even the government then will not be able to fund us fully to carry out research and innovation. More than that, the other priorities which are sort of urgent in nature, emergencies, humanitarian crisis, food security issues, health issues, where government is redirecting resources. All that means is probably research and innovation comes second. But that doesn't mean as institutions, we cannot find innovative ways to help us to be able to fund our research and innovation. So what are some of the ways then we can be able to counter that challenge of low funding from government institutions? Please take a pen and paper because we'll examine ourselves. Number one, we can use private sector to support research and innovation. Private sector engagement, and I challenge this institution principle next year when we come, because you've been very consistent with these conferences. I hope I will be able to see a private sector engagement strategy for Meru National Polytechnic to support research and innovation. I want to assure you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, private sector people are looking for solutions. And if we, as an institution, as a sector, can be able to prove we can provide solutions to the private sector, I assure you, they will fund our research and innovation. Equity is looking for cybersecurity solutions. If we, the students and faculty here at Meru National Polytechnic, can be able to demonstrate to Equity that they can actually provide solutions to matters cybersecurity, matters AI, they will send part of their profits to these institutions to support research and innovation. Equity is just one example, but I'm sure if we come up with a private sector engagement strategy, we will be able to find other private sector players who can be able to support research and innovation so that we diversify funding to support research. On the same breath, the issue of endowment fund. If this institution can consider creating an endowment fund, we have so many philanthropic people in Meru who can come and mobilize resources through an endowment fund to support research and innovation. I was so excited when I was stepping on this artificial carpet that we are stepping on in front here. Principal, I'm sure this is from recycling. This must have been prepared from recycling. And I can assure you, private sector people are looking for such initiatives to be able to fund them. So challenge number one, solution number one. Ready for challenge number two? All right, challenge number two that we are facing as institutions of higher learning, whether TVETs or even universities, is what we call weak connections with industry on matters research. Typically, what happens in institutions is that researchers sit in their offices and come up or imagine solutions. And then they start looking for funding. It is important for us to use what we call reverse model. The solution to that challenge is called reverse model, where we leave the comfort of our offices, get to the society, and find out what exactly is their problem. If you think probably in Meru County, there are so many cancer cases as we have seen, what could be the problem? Maybe we are seated in our offices thinking the cancer cases as a result of the food that we eat. Probably it is not the food, probably it is the soil. So we need to go and engage the community so that we are not researching on symptoms, we are researching on the real solutions. So the solution to that particular challenge is using reverse model. And I can tell you, the institutions out there, for example, the county governments, the director was here, who are looking to fund institutions that are actually dealing with the real problems as opposed to symptoms. We may think cancer issues in Meru is as a result of food. Probably no, probably yes. I am not a medical doctor, but can we engage the communities to know exactly what the problem is? Perhaps it is the water harvesting methods could be the problem. The water treatment methods could be the problem. But if we sit in our offices and we are trying to imagine the problems, we may be making mistakes. So reverse model is a solution to that particular challenge. Challenge number three is the issue of a track record. The track record to be able to attract funding. Funders are not giving money to strangers. Funders are not giving money to people who are trying or starting. So then what we do as institutions that are looking for funds to be able to support research and innovation? The solution to that is to form consortium. Formation of consortium or a group of researchers coming together where we have TVETs, universities, county governments, SMEs in this particular area, community leaders in this area, young people coming together to form a consortium to be able to demonstrate to funders that everybody is involved and that you're able to have the capacity and the competencies that are required to execute research. Myself and my colleague, Dr. Dennis here, early this year, we submitted a proposal to an institution called IDRC. And I can tell you that funding is funding worth billions of money. But we had to find a consortium involving very many people. Of course, management of a consortium itself is work because managing a consortium is not easy. SMEs, we had TVETs, we had private sector, we had community leaders, we had policymakers who were supposed to uptake our innovation and take it to the policy space. So we encourage Meru National Polytechnic to have an office dedicated to managing partnerships so as you can be able to have consortiums to demonstrate to funders you have capacity to receive funding. And the question I need to ask, if today someone came and gave you funding equivalent to our Kenya one-year budget, do you have the capacity to uptake? It's possible. The proposal we wrote with my colleague here, that is what it is. Do you have capacity to uptake? That is the first question you must answer, funders. And I can tell you it is possible. It's a question of bringing together a consortium approach to writing proposals. The other challenge with regards to finding funding for research is writing non-competitive proposals. Non-competitive proposals. Funders are not looking for institutions that are submitting proposals to prescribe or to describe problems. No, Funders are looking for institutions that are looking for research money to provide solutions to the society. So if you're writing a proposal, you need to have a team that is called a quality assurance team. Quality assurance team is supposed to look at your proposal and check whether the proposal is actually answering the questions of what is the problem and what is the keyword is unique solution are you providing. Without a unique solution, I can tell you funders are not giving you that money. And of course, you have to critically check and see no any other person is providing the solution that you are providing. Funders are looking for unique things. Funders are looking for the interpreter seated next to me, to stand next to, probably have a robot standing next to her to do the interpretation so that you release her to do more strategic issues, isn't it? That is what funders are looking for innovative solutions. Then the other challenge that institutions are experiencing in terms of mobilizing resources is not having a culture of diversifying income streams. Diversification of income streams. So institutions are just relying on one stream to be able to fund their research, but a solution to that is to have a research unit whose one of the terms of reference is to seek diversification of income streams to be able to support research. That is one of the work that I've been doing the last 5 years to support research and innovation at Karatina University. Chief Principal, this morning before I came, I went to the university and I received partners from UK very early in the morning at 6:30, and then I started driving here. Part of income stream is not necessarily money. It can be income in terms of people coming to strengthen your research capacity. We are having partners now strengthening our university research capacity on matters artificial intelligence and research. So they are not giving us money, but they are sending us experts from Western countries to come to the university and train all our academic staff on how to use artificial intelligence to carry out research, to do technology transfer, and to commercialize innovations. So funding is not just money. Funding can be in so many forms. It can also be in form of infrastructure, very, very important, and also working with industries. The next challenge that we are facing and probably can form a part of our resource mobilization is failing to leverage talented students as a resource. Failing to leverage talented students as a resource. I keep saying, and I repeat this where I work many times, no human is limited, borrowing the words of, was it Eliud Kipchoge or was it Lupita Nyong'o? Who said those words? Who said those words? No human is limited. It's who? Eliud, isn't it? For sure, do not underrate your students. The only thing students require is little mentorship and support from your instructors to be able to support research work. Just allowing them to understand the concept and then releasing them to carry out research while the instructors are in class continuing with their research work. For me, your students and your talented students are a resource. They may not be a resource in form of money, but they are a resource in terms of competence. They are the people who will help you to build prototypes, and those prototypes will eventually provide solutions to the society. And I can assure you, if they provide solutions to the society, then you are on the pathway to commercialization. And commercialization is what will give this university, this National Polytechnic funds to carry out research and innovation. And I really encourage us to take advantage of the students, even those students who are not very vocal. My experience actually with the students who are not very vocal, they end up being great innovators. They just require confidence, little mentorship here and there, and exposure, especially to the industry. So for me, students are a great resource. If you're 15,000 students, you are 15,000 strong. Each student matters. It's a question of us organizing ourselves and making sure every student counts. Finally, the last challenge and a solution is sustainability plans. You cannot mount proper research and innovation in an institution without sustainability plans. because funders are looking for institutions that can continue with innovations after the funding is over. And what that means is that we really must ensure all the innovations result to commercialization, so that after you commercialize, you have a particular percentage that now comes back to the Polytechnic as a seed fund. So for me, sustainability is so key and is a conversation. Even where I work, we have started, and we are starting to see how we can use technology transfer office to ensure we share the proceeds of innovation and commercialization with our students. A particular percentage is given to the students, and a particular percentage is given to the Polytechnic. And that percentage that comes to you should now form a seed fund to support future research and innovation initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, those were the 7 challenges and 7 solutions. I said I am a teacher by excellence. I understand knowledge overload. However, before I sit, the first solution is what? The first solution we said it's, yes? Coming up with? Or do you want to name the challenge and the solution? The first solution we have proposed will come up with what? Strategies to engage private sector, and we have said by the time we come for the 5th conference, and God willing, Chief Principal will be here, so make sure you invite me, and I'll be coming to specifically listen to you presenting to us your private sector engagement strategy. Chair of Council, we have agreed that, isn't it? Second solution is what? Reverse model, where we involve the community too and the institution, isn't it? The third one is what? Formation of consortiums, so that we have a group of people to demonstrate to funders we have capacity. The third one is quality assurance in order to write competitive proposals. Excellent. The fifth one is diversifying income streams. And the sixth one is engaging talented students. And the last one is about sustainability, isn't it? Great. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me. And thank you so much, moderator.
Thank you very much, Professor Kembati. Again, let us appreciate the good presentation that she has shared with us. Good. At this juncture, I want to change the program a little bit. Instead of us having a plenary discussion, we move to having a panel here that can eventually penetrate the presentations that are given by Professor Nkonge as well as Professor Kembati, and give us a few ideas about what is and where we're going with this research and debate advancements within our country.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, kama unavyoona bado kongamano la 4 la sayansi na ubunifu bado linaendelea hapa tu chuoni cha ufundi cha kitaifa cha Meru, ambapo bado kongamano linaendelea, na kama unavyoona nyuma yangu bado kongamano linaendelea. Wageni wakuu wanaendelea kupeana ripoti zao kwenye ubunifu wao, na kama unavyoona bado wanafunzi wanaendelea kuingia humu chuoni, ambapo wana matarajio mbalimbali, ambapo wanafunzi wengi wanatarajia kuwa washindi katika hili kongamano, ambapo tunaanza kongamano limeanza siku ya leo ikiwa tarehe 3 ikiwa siku ya Jumatano, ambapo hili kongamano litaweza kutamatishwa hapo siku ya Ijumaa, ambapo itakuwa tarehe 5. Na wakaribisha nyinyi nyote muweze kuwa katika kongamano hili, muweze kuona ambapo wanafunzi mbalimbali watakuwa wanajijumuisha katika ubunifu wao. Kwako studio.
Also ask our chief principal, Dr. Anderson Mutembei, to come forward, and our 2 presenters, to come forward so that as we engage our audience, if there are any issues that we did not put clear, then they can be expanded, they can be explained, and we can get to know more about this TVET education. So please, for our audience, we've got these key persons who can lead us into understanding the two topics that we've had. And we had prepared some questions that we thought we would ask our panelists so that we can see whether we can get better understanding of what is happening. And in view of this, we've got some questions that we've prepared, and I think they have already been shared with you in relation to the two presentations that have been given. And all what we need to do is you listen to the question, you see whether you can shed some light, more light into it. And I'll start with our chief principal, Dr. Mutembei, just to make everybody comfortable. As we've said, TVET institutions are very important. And sustainable development mean a lot to us. What is the context of TVET education and the training in terms of sustainable development? You can take the question and you can respond to it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prof. And before I can attempt to answer that question, I need to thank the two presenters for setting a very high notch. I was wishing that the whole of TVET was here to listen to what they had to say concerning sustainable development and also sustainable institutions and how to attract funding for our institutions. TVET is so critical in our country, Kenya, today. If you listened to our president, when he was launching competence-based education and training, I think in 2024 at the Nyeri National Polytechnic, he actually said, I don't know whether it was deliberate or not deliberate, but I think it was, he said, if education is the key, then TVET is the master key. That's what he said. And I thought that was huge, given the kind of resources, and as Professor Kiambati has put it, not necessarily financial, but in form of support for the education sector and specifically TVET. And we have now transitioned from what was traditionally offered in our training models through NEC. You know, most of us have done NEC exams here. And you know, some of the questions were too irrelevant because they were not applying to the current situations. So then they were not encouraging sustainability in any way. But now we have transitioned to what we call competence-based education and training, where as TVET institutions and as a directorate, we are encouraged before we do any curricula, and the Meru National Polytechnic in particular being a qualifications awarding institution. That means we have something like a charter. So we do our own curriculums. And what we usually do is what Kiambati professor said, we go out there and do market surveys to see what are the current needs as recommended by the industry. And, with that, equipped with the knowledge of what the industry requires, we are able to package a curriculum in collaboration with the industry, and that curriculum becomes very current to the industry, and the industry appreciates that, because what used to happen before is they used to retrain, retool the trainees or students to be able to adapt to the needs of the industry. And therefore, that is one of the critical ways that we have managed to do that. And going forward, what we do is we also engage the industry in training. We engage the industry in assessments. We no longer do exams, we do assessments. And they do validation of our assessment tools and our curriculum every other time. And our curriculum is not static, is agile. It is subject to change. Now, because I need to allow others to also talk, I will say what we are emphasizing today for sustainability is, there is a difference between outputs and outcomes. And Professor said if we are 15,000 students, we are 15,000 strong, which is true. But now we have to be very careful about outputs as opposed to outcomes, because we can release and churn out so many graduates who are not able to do anything out there, and they are jobless. But when we churn out graduates who are an output, then it means they have the skills and the competencies which they can scale up and be able to do something out there, whether in self-employment or in meaningful engagement by the industry. But as I finalize, I will say we have had very many organizations, private and public, who are also very interested in what we do in TVET. I will just mention one, the organization for highways is called what? Not Kibit, but Kenya, the one which builds roads, highways. Kenha has become very interested in TVET. And for instance, we have a collaboration with Kenya here, and they have given us so many students. And those students will benefit just like Equity Bank does. They will benefit after they are trained and qualified. We will also give them startup kits for them to go out there and be able to do what it is they have been trained to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mutembei, for that elaborate response. And to move on, we've been told in order for our TVET institutions to be sustainable, we must work together with our industries, as well as create a lot of partnership. So, Ambassador Mary Mugwanja, maybe I can request you comment on this matter. How can we create collaborations between TVET institutions, industry, the government, and the development partners in order for us to sustain this development? How we can advise TVET institutions to create partnerships with the industry, government, and development partners in order for us to have this sustainable development. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And, I want to start by appreciating our two presenters for having done a commendable job. I took note on the overruns on the exchequer. That has been one of my strong belief that the education institutions, that is the TVETs, the universities, even the schools, can actually diversify and have separate income streams. Where does that come from? Most of the institutions have big chunks of land. I don't know whether Meru National Polytechnic has a lot of land, but I appreciate what the Meru National Polytechnic is doing. It is self-reliant in terms of food supply and also supporting the community out here. So that becomes a key one. I know we've been told that we need to work closely with the community, work closely with the private sector, and as a bank, one of the key things that we'd want to do is come together, one with the county governments. We have a lot of youths who have not managed to join the TVETs. How do we ensure that we take them through short-term courses? We have a tripartite agreement between the county government, between the TVETs, and between the bank. And I'm happy, Dr. Mtembe, you've talked about Kenha, where you're training and giving a toolkit after completion. That is something that we'll be able to do through our Equity Group Foundation, work together, and even enjoying other partners. Other partners will be, it's called NITI, the National Training, the accreditation. We can work very closely with the NEMA, the Employment Authority. We are training. I'm sure most of us are working on the Kazi Maju. I know it's controversial because we would want to train for the local consumption. But just in case we're not able to train for local consumption, there are a number of countries that require these skills. How do we partner with the specific countries through the bilateral labor agreements to train for the institutions? I'm saying this because when I was in Austria, they had a total of 250,000 vacant positions and they do not have people. What did I do? I initiated the bilateral labor agreement that has since been signed. So that goes a long way. The other thing would be to work with the development partners. We know that like we need to do solarization, we need to ensure that we build infrastructure. Infrastructure not only for learning, we do not have decent accommodation. The government, even if it's pushing the affordable housing, when you look at all the TVETs, the private sector must come in and support. How do we ensure that that's done? Bring in development partners who can be able to give us reasonably or concessional funding, that we are able to on lend to the institutions at favorable rates. That way it means that we'll be able to build proper infrastructure, we'll be able to also train, and the final one will be through our Equity Group Foundation. When you look at training for the students, we want to train a holistic person. How do you ensure that the training, that you prepare them or even outside, life outside, when they complete the studies. So they come, we train them on financial literacy, we ensure that we mentor them. If we could even, like the collaboration I was talking, the tripartite collaboration will come in, train them on financial literacy, be able to train them, to mentor them on entrepreneurship, and be able to fund them thereafter. So some of the things that I can think that will be able to work. And I call upon all the TVETs to come and we structure personalized conversations, and we can also be supported by the director to ensure that we could have even a customer value proposition for the technical training vocational centers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Mary, for the deep response that you've given us and the comments. And to move on, we've had Professor Kiambati has indicated research, resource mobilization is a big task. And he has shared with us some of the challenges and the solutions that we can do. But at the local level, we need to mobilize available resources in order for us to enhance research. So, Prof, probably you can talk to us about how we can identify and tap the available resources around us to improve our institution as well as research in those institutions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, moderator, for that question. And so for me, some of the strategies that we can apply to improve our institutions on matters research and innovation, one of the things we cannot overemphasize is capacity strengthening. Research is so dynamic, and so we must continuously strengthen our capacity. Now we have artificial intelligence, we have fourth industrial revolution, we have so many things that are changing, and all of them have implications with regards to how we do research. So for me, the first priority is strengthening capacity. We also need to strengthen capacity on matters ethics and data protection. We have seen institutions taken to court. You come up with something very, very innovative, but because you never took care of matters, data protection, and ethical consideration in research, that research causes more harm than the benefit. So number one, capacity strengthening is so key. Deliberate partnerships are so important, not just partnership, being very, very deliberate with regards to the kind of partnerships that you bring to the table. Like-minded people that can share resources with you. For example, now with the AI, you can use virtual reality to carry out research on matters health, matters ICT, using 3D virtual reality. If, for example, Meru National Polytechnic does not have a particular infrastructure or resource to carry out research, they can use 3D virtual reality to share resources with another national polytechnic and produce joint solutions using shared resources. Issues of community impact are very key and very close to me. It's important for us to ensure, for us to be sustainable on matters research and innovation. Every research and innovation activity we carry out has impact to our societies and our communities. I keep saying that we have short of very many things as a country, but not short of challenges that require tech-related and science-related solutions. So working with communities is very important, and probably one of the key takeaways we can do here, because we are at Meru National Polytechnic and they have hosted us, is perhaps for every department this coming semester to map out communities that they will work with every semester. So part of submitting course outlines should also be part of submitting mapped communities that you work with that particular semester. And then the second semester, the same thing. The third semester, the same thing. At the end of the year, and cumulatively across all the departments, You would be amazed at how many communities you have impacted in the county and even outside the county. So quickly, those are some of the things, and also, again, to overemphasize this issue of community and industry partnerships, and maybe picking from what our chief guest has said, and connecting that to solutions. Maybe I share with you one example, and because I am a teacher, I love examples. Last month, I was having a plumbing issue in my house. So I went to our extended, we have many family groups, we have nuclear extended, cousins. So I went to our extended WhatsApp family group, and I said, is there someone with a plumber that can refer me to so that I can seek the plumbing services? The first one came, and after he finished his work, it became worse. Yeah, the work that he did was worse than he left us. So like 30 minutes after he had left, we had more water dripping than before he came. So I went back to the WhatsApp group and I said to the person who referred me, what happened? You said you had tested this person. Then they said, maybe it's just one outlier, where someone comes and it's a bad day, it doesn't work. A second one came, and the story went on and on and on. And because in our extended family group, we have 2 people studying computer science, I posted a challenge in that group. And I told them, why can't you come up with an app like that one for Uber, where I can Uber plumbers? So I just go to the app and I request a plumber. You come, you do work in my house. If I'm satisfied, I pay you the same way we pay Uber. Why am I giving this example? Is to demonstrate to you industry partnership can happen at any level. So technicians, everybody. Kenyatta National Hospital, we keep hearing sometimes they say that they're not able to operate cancer treatment machines because they do not have qualified technicians. Why can't Meru National Polytechnic sign an MOU with Kenyatta National Hospital to train technicians to deal with specialized machines? Same Kenyatta National Hospital, we hear they have operated on the wrong head, on the wrong patient. Why can't the ICT department here in this Meru National Polytechnic come up with an MOU with that hospital where they can use biometrics? So before a doctor operates on me, they can use my eyes. Maybe I'm a patient who can't speak, but my eyes can see. So they'll use my eyes to be sure they're operating on the right patient. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Kembati, for the good response and comments that you've given us. And we move on. And Professor Nkonge shared with us his presentation, and he emphasized greatly on ethical leadership and integrity. And he also indicated that there is need for these TVET institutions to adopt good leadership methods. So, Prof, probably you can give us some idea on some of the institutional issues that can be undertaken by TVET institutions to improve embracing the science and technology for the improvement of their outputs. How can we advise our TVET institutions in terms of embracing science and technology to improve their outputs?
Thank you, Professor, for that question on ethical leadership and integrity, and how we can embrace science and technology for improved output as TVET colleges. You know, my argument was that I can call it beyond skills, because these colleges or TVET institutions, as well as other institutions, they are the ones who produce leaders for our country. And the argument has been, if we have colleges and we have institutions, why do we have challenges of leadership? Actually, that was what I was trying to advocate as I started this conference. But I think what the chief principal said about the curriculum, and I'm happy to hear that now they have a chance of looking at their curriculum. It is very important for us as TVET institutions or even other institutions to ask ourselves, do we have relevant curriculum which can help our people? We know the curriculum is very important because, of course, it determines the kind of people we produce from here, as well as in other places. So if it is the issue of science and technology, it is very important to ask ourselves, is our curriculum addressing this? But it is also important to look beyond this and ask ourselves, we have produced engineers, we have produced teachers, we have produced doctors. Are we producing people who, on top of what they do on a daily basis, are able to help our country to grow? That was actually what I was trying to advocate, so that because the cry is all over, that our continent lacks good leaders. Why is it that we are not able to produce leaders for our country? So I think the curriculum, the issue of resource mobilization, which has been emphasized here, this play a significant role, according to what I feel and think. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for ventilating into that issue. And for the interest of time, I think if there is anybody who may be having, I can allow only one question from the audience before we move to the next, on the basis of what has been talked about by our panelists. Any question? Yes? Dr. Moria? Give him a...
Thank you very much, Prof. I want to ask Professor Nkonge to comment on this. We are living in times when the value system that informs healthy, innovative, creative society are increasingly collapsing. What will it take to re-engineer our value system membrane to instill back value systems that will help us develop like health? You see what graduates are doing, people who have masters are doing, they're putting on. You see their habits. You wonder. If I'm going to write a book about the character of a nation, what would you write in that book? Thank you.
Thank you very much. About the character of the nation and the values.
Thank you so much for that comment. I agree with you. Actually, that is the biggest challenge we are having. The values which I emphasize in our presentation. And one can ask question, what has gone wrong in our continent? It was being said during the presentation. And it is a question which I don't think has any answer, because the question is, what has happened to us as a community? Because traditionally we know these things were well addressed, even when the system of education was not as advanced as it is now. But now with a good system of education, we have good colleges, we have good universities. What has happened that the people who actually are produced in these colleges and institutions are the people who become leaders of our nations and leaders of our institutions. But the issue of character is a big challenge. And I think it's a question that we need to keep on reflecting on. I proposed that we need to reflect on it as training institutions as we focus on the future of this country. Because I think, as he's saying, it is very difficult for me to write anything on what he's saying right now because of what you can also see. Okay. But I think we have a solution. That is what we are trying to establish.
Good. Thank you very much, Professor Nkonge, for shedding greater light about this matter. Just to add on what Professor Nkonge has said, Ambassador Mugwanja would want to make a comment on the same matter.
Yes, thank you for that very important question. And I think it boils down to an individual. When we are the leaders, the people below us look up to us. What we do is what they do. Are we being role models? And they say the fish rots from there, isn't it? Remember, even in your family, your children copy what it is that you do. So what generation do you want to live for tomorrow? When you talk about ethical leadership, when you talk about transparency, let us call it as it is. Let's not just hide, because we know that what we are doing is wrong. If the students are doing the wrong thing, I understand we fear the parents will come ranting. But what generation are we creating for tomorrow if we can't be able to stand firm and call it as it is? I also believe why there's a lot of societal pressure is because nobody runs their race. You don't live your life. You live the life of your friend, of your neighbor. You lead somebody else's life. You want to emulate what everybody is doing, yet you're not in a position to. When you live your race, you understand this is who I am as at now. This is what I have. This is what I can afford. I will only make steps to ensure that I change myself, but I'll not live like Dr. Mutembei. I am not Dr. Mutembei, so I can't live like him. In conclusion, let's travel the road that is less traveled. That at the end of it all, people will not remember the many cars that you had, the many lands you had. They will remember the difference you've created, the impact that you've left, and they'll remember you for who you are. Actually look at life and I say it's vanity. When I go out in the streets and I see people with no food, I ask myself, I wish I was in a position to, because I'll ensure that everybody has a meal on their table. It is very, very depressing. When you go to the rural areas, you see the poverty levels, and when you come to some places, you see the amounts that are being splashed all over. You're very, very sad. But we have an opportunity to change it. The change will start with you and me. Thank you.
Prof, allow me to...
Yes, thank you very much, Ambassador, for that good advice that you've given us. Yes, I will now give you a chance also to ventilate on the matter.
I just needed to put a small rider and say, you know, Professor Nkonge had a wonderful presentation, but I had a small problem with the topic, because the topic starts with sustainable institutions, then reliable leadership. I thought they should have started with reliable leadership and then sustainable institutions, because leadership determines sustainability. And when you talk about ethical leadership, he actually defined leadership as the led are influenced to follow a certain path or road so as to travel in a certain direction. And then he said, a leader keeps promises which are dependable. Of course, that should be a good leader. It's not just a leader. Is a leader should keep promises which are dependable. And therefore, as we talk about, and as he talked about adaptive leadership, he talked about